there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing well today. Okay, let's see what message we've got. Today we're using the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, mini pocket version, which is very sweet. So I thought I'd see what message Spirit has for us today. So these cards talk about the traits of different animals that obviously appertain to our human growth and development as well. So let's see which ones come out that Spirit wants us to look at today. So the rabbit is of the earth group. It says, afraid of everything, overwhelmed and frozen. Tends to be pessimistic, neurotic, fearful, which can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can be our own worst enemy. We need to remember that our thoughts create and that we're not a victim. We can always, the ego always wants us to paint ourselves in a corner, paint ourselves into believing that we're a victim. But really that's the most disempowering state that we can be in, because the Spirit always wants us to see everything in an empowering way, in a loving and helpful way, and help us to take our power back without negatively affecting other people. And we know that love is power. Love is the highest power. God has created it that way, which is a beautiful thing. So the more loving we are, the more power we feel as if we have. And it's an important thing to remember that. Every time we feel disempowered, it's because we've moved away from love. So yeah, that is a beautiful realization and a beautiful thing to remember, that we're not weak. We're part of this giant tapestry of life, and wonderful things can and are always happening to us, but we just don't necessarily see it if we're not thinking with the Spirit. So I think there's a quote by Einstein where it says you can look at life as though nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And obviously one feels more exciting and uplifting, the other one feels more depressing and alienating. So yeah, the rabbit is here to basically remind us that thinking negatively or thinking small is not going to benefit us, is not going to make us feel good. And it's also going to attract all sorts of problems or seeming problems to us, because we're created so powerful, and our mind is cause, mind is causative. Mind is the only cause in the world. So if we think of ourselves as small, like prey or a victim, then the universe will answer our prayer and give us just that. And what we don't tend to realize is that we don't really want that, or we think we don't want that, yet we persist in believing ourselves to be small. And it's always a journey to take our power back and remember our magnitude. So yeah, this card really does remind us that we're not this powerless little thing, and that we need to think differently and keep our mind in the light. Okay, right, let's see what comes out next. Whoops. So we've got dragonfly, nightingale, panther, and vulture. I'll pull one more out, seeing as I've got one more space on the top row. Lamb turned over. Okay, so the dragonfly. The dragonfly is of the air element, master of the light, illusion and the mind. It says it's an ancient and ethereal creature with an awakened sense of wonder, symbolic of shimmering and changing mind. What is the quality of your perception? Calm the mind and listen. So, I mean, I love seeing dragonflies out in the world, especially in summer when I'm walking. I quite often will use these symbols by the Spirit to give me a sign, because I don't know, something about a dragonfly always has like a magical quality. Always seems like a very precious and rare, pretty creature, that always just seems free, but always seems kind of fastidious and busy, and very sweet. So yeah, we know that the dragonfly, yeah, it just has an ethereal quality about it and this sense of wonder. And it's our job to embody this in ourselves. We need to look at what's the quality of our perception. What are we thinking? You know, this leads in very well after the rabbit, because the rabbit has a very kind of negative and fearful mindset. And the dragonfly kind of makes us focus more on, I think a lot of the air creatures that fly kind of evoke this sense of freedom. We know that we don't really have any freedom in a body, but from our human perspective, we often associate freedom with freedom of the body and being able to move. So this is a really sweet symbol that we can free our mind by thinking with God, essentially, and mastering the light, and remembering that the mind is an illusion. Every time we feel as if we're trapped or stuck, we have to unpeel ourselves out of the concept that's keeping us stuck. And when we do this with the spirit, we really get to see that we are just creating prisons in our own mind, and that the world is essentially a dream created out of thought, and that the spirit can help us out of thought. I mentioned in my last video, I think, that I was kind of stuck in a pattern, and I needed the spirit to help me out of it, to see that salvation is not in the form, it's in the mind. The mind is really all that exists. We know this. We've been taught this in A Course in Miracles, that the mind is the only thing that exists, the spirit mind. So any healing or any work we do at the mind level is always helpful for us. And it can't be taken away from us. We take our mind and our level of consciousness with us from lifetime to lifetime. So it makes sense to always focus on the mind and not focus so much on the form and the bodily things. So yeah, quite often we need to calm the mind and listen. The dragonfly teaches us to calm the mind and listen. So one of the ways I like to do that is to go out for a walk in nature when I often see dragonflies in the summer. Yeah, and just get focused back onto the mind. And when you focus back into the right mind, so much beautiful wisdom comes into the mind. I find that I have so many epiphanies and so much deep understanding when I'm out in nature, that it's just very pleasant. It's always nice to be in the right mind, for sure. Nightingale is another creature of the air. It says here, fearless voice, speech, communication and song, that the nightingale is a simple brown bird with an angelic voice. When nightingale energy is with us, when we sing, write and compose, and that music heals wounds, because it definitely flushes up our feelings, and our feelings help us get in touch with whatever's blocked. And it's just a very powerful way to help us express. Sometimes singing can help us express our feelings. I definitely think music connects us to the heart. When we connect the heart and voice together, then it helps us express ourselves and get in touch with the deeper issues within us. So yeah, the nightingale is really a symbol of the fact that the body is nothing, but the song or the thoughts or the mind within us are everything, and that we can express it. And not worry too much about our body identity. Just focus on expressing our truth, and knowing that the ego tries to get us to suppress our truth and hide our blocks and our things that that we don't think are good, things that in the past we've been taught that we can't say because we'll get in trouble. Whereas the nightingale is asking us to reverse this process, and for us to understand that we're all subject to the same ego stories, and the ego is always trying to get us to stay silent, primarily because when we open up we can see that we're all the same, that we all have the same issues with feeling like we want to hide to varying degrees, and that it's really important for us to open up. So the panther is part of the fire element. It says annihilation of the unnecessary and purging. So the panther brings tower moments into our life to shift us out of stagnation, which are often unexpected and uncomfortable and completely devastating to the ego. But if we work through them, then we get the gift of hindsight, and it helps us to level up. I know myself that many of the most difficult things that have happened to me, things that just seem horrific in our life experience that are very upsetting to the ego, are actually very helpful to the spirit. And because our spiritual journey goes in complete opposite direction to the ego's journey, then it's basically the process of annihilation of our human self, which sounds awful, but as we annihilate the human self, we become our true self, our spirit self, or our mental self, which is our truest state. So we're essentially purifying, and every time we go through something, it feels as though we're coming undone and that we're not put together right and we're falling apart. But really we're just falling apart so we can be rebuilt stronger. And that's what the Panther card means to us. It's just basically a crumbling and undoing so that we can come back stronger. And the panther looks very foreboding in this picture, but I think that's a really good depiction of the fact that fear is false, and that when something feels to be horrendous and going wrong, that it's not. It's just rebuilding us when we look at it a different way with the spirit. So yeah, the panther is a powerful animal and a powerful message. Vulture is again another air creature. It says guardian and purifier, essential for rebalance. The vulture balances the ecosystem, prevents the spread of disease, does the dirty work, it cleans up, purifies and brings into balance, and remembers that problems are a blessing in disguise. So it's really good that this vulture card has come out after the panther, really. I mean, it could talk about our physical world, cleaning things up, or also cleaning out the mind of all the erroneous beliefs and things that we have. And even though it's not a comfortable process, the spirit knows the only way out is through. We've got to go through the shadow of the valley of death. Someone was asking me the other day, you know, can I heal and wake up without all this pain, but and discomfort? But really, it's the pain and discomfort that blocks the path. Our resistance to feeling all these issues is what blocks us. So we do have to go directly through the triggers. And the discomfort and the pain, we can't really avoid it. It's the best thing we can do is just ride the waves and understand that, get to see the whole process differently, that it's a positive thing and there's no point avoiding it or being upset about it, because it's actually helpful. And the more we do it, the more we trust, for sure. So the lamb is a creature of the earth. It says peaceful, prophetic and patient. Messages we hear in stillness. Honest guidance, will we heed? Treat with patience and reverence. Gentleness, truth and patience are a gift, and we need to listen and receive. So this reminds me a little bit of the lion and the lamb, in that the more defenseless we are, the more we can hear the truth of love. And we can just be very gentle and trust in the process. The lamb is a very gentle creature. It comes around in the spring, which reminds me of a new season. And it's just a very sweet and spring-like and gentle creature. And we can be like that little creature. I love the fact that it says that it's prophetic and patient and very peaceful. So it's almost like it has an otherworldly quality. It can see in its mind. It can understand things and see what's coming next. So it is able to trust and understand that patience is a gift, for sure. And we need to really trust in the spirit. Okay, let's pull some more cards out. The next one out is the zebra. I like this card. It's fun. So the zebra card is all about being eccentric and a creative visionary. This is associated with the element of fire. It says that this creature is a precious gem. It's cultured, young at heart, curious, mind-opening, has contagious enthusiasm, leads us to faraway lands, expand worldview, have a blast, and maybe volunteer overseas. So yeah, I associate this card with taking risks and just allowing ourselves to be quirky and to not hide, not hide our eccentricities, but actually use them and let them out in a way that is good. I mean, I was talking to people, and I talk to people all the time, and they seem to be embarrassed about their geeky qualities, and their nerdy interests and things. But actually, everybody is nerd about something, and we should just hone it and, you know, just be ourselves and let our quirks and idiosyncrasies come out, because people do actually love them about us, even though we think that they alienate us. They don't. And we can always create a way to bring lightness to our quirky qualities. Young at heart, I really like this aspect. So we're taught to be like little children in the Bible and to rely on God for everything, and be very curious about our path and understand that our mind is going to open more and more as our consciousness shifts, and just to have a lot of contagious enthusiasm about the journey, and about anything the Spirit brings into our experience. We can have fun with everything. I like the way it says lead to faraway lands. So it could be that travel is on the horizon, or it could just be that we're going deeper into our imagination and into Pandora's box, and we're just expanding our worldview, which can be quite a trip in itself. But it's always fun just to have a laugh and take life not so seriously. So yeah, I like that card. I think it's very sweet. Let's see what else we have coming out. Wolf, stingray, so the wolf is a creature of the earth, guardian of family and tribe. It says preserve well-being and longevity of the pack. Into activism, mentorship, a humanitarian, is a good teacher. Sometimes can be a little bit my way or the highway. Needs to practice tolerance and embrace everyone and exclude none. So yeah, this is a reminder. It basically sounds like the wolf is a powerful leader, but is maybe a bit stuck in its ways. And there's something we can learn from this wolf, that it's good to care about people and look after them, but sometimes we can maybe be a little bit too narrow-minded and not see that other people have different ways of being and doing things, and we need to open up to that for sure. Stingray is a creature of the water. It talks all about developing confidence, our sense of self, and having a strong spine. For the description, it says a pivotal point in our own growth where we're forced to level up, and rely on inner validation only, and then rinse and repeat. So this can be a card of, say, coming out of codependency, where we're really learning to get in touch with what we think and feel for ourselves, and just learn to understand what we are and what we want. So we need to be highly attuned to our feelings to do this, because quite often, if you've been brought up in a home where anything that you wanted or felt was dismissed, then quite often we have a belief that we tune out our emotions because we think that what they tell us is wrong. And it's all about really the process. The stingray is reminding us the process of reversing this process and realizing that the way we learnt was inaccurate. We were taught this by people who were also probably taught this. Essentially, it was just taught by the ego. We perceived it with the ego. They perceived it with the ego. Whoever perceived it with the ego. And it's really all about learning to align with the spirit and not with the ego. So to get in touch with what we feel and what we actually want for ourselves, and then developing the courage to speak up over time, and definitely listening and tuning into the spirit about where we want to go and what we want to do. So yeah, I would say it's a very growth oriented card, and I like that it forces us to level up, because that always means that we're always in this perspective of growth, always growing and striving for the light and striving for more, which is what we want on our spiritual journey. Let's see which other cards come out. Crocodile, hyena. when I was going through some of the cards, I was quite surprised actually at the meaning of some of the cards. Some of them are very expected, and others were quite unexpected. Let's get one more. The horse. So the next one is the crocodile. So the crocodile is a water creature associated with resting, submerging, collecting energy and cooling off. So this creature reminds us to turn inward and pause, to rebuild our energy, to observe, refill our reserves, and then move forward with wisdom and power. Crocodiles always do seem quite calculating, as if they're watching their prey. So we don't want to be watching prey per se, but to take on the crocodile qualities of, just collecting ourselves and returning to clarity in the mind and being wise and patient. A bit of a powerhouse. Sometimes it's best not to react and just to hang back and see until we've returned to clarity in the mind, and then we can take action again. The hyena is one of my favourite cards. It's an animal associated with fire, associated with humour and wit and sarcasm, a joker, a crowd pleaser, but can also be a bit of an unfulfilled dreamer. Asks us, are we using sarcasm as a defence or for resentment? And we need to take our goals seriously. So yeah, this card is all about looking at the lighter side of life and having fun and enjoying humour and laughing at the absurdity of life, but also being aware of when we might kind of mock and laugh at ourselves because we fear some emotion, or we fear being fully seen, or we might even be laughing at other people out of discomfort. So yeah, encourage us to look at these things, and also to look at our dreams and make ourselves take our goals seriously. Quite often we can feel as if we have all these big ideas, but for one reason or another we can't move forward because we just feel like we're not ready or we're not good enough. And the hyena is asking us to re-look at that and see ourselves differently and take a slightly bigger step in the right direction, because we'll never feel happy if we don't go in the right direction, which we don't want, because we just feel stagnant, and then it's not good, and we don't want the ego to be having the last laugh with that one. So we want to be laughing along with the spirit and growing and developing as we go. Horse is of the earth, associated with momentum, freedom, expansive energy and force. It says masterful form energy, reliable and supportive momentum. We can ride the horse towards any goal. The horse is associated with being fully awakened, fully alive and undefeatable, and remembering that freedom comes from stamina and meditation. So for me, this card is all about the body follows the mind, and whatever we think in the mind, then the body will automatically do and carry out, because the body is created by thought, and it's an outpicturing of our mental state. And the horse is very much about expanding and moving forwards. It's like I don't know how to say it. I like when it says you can ride it towards any goal. It's like it moves us in the right direction. It's very alive and exciting, and it doesn't fear obstacles and things. It just powers through them. It never gives up and achieves anything. So we need to hone these qualities in ourselves and practice our mental strength through our mind training, which will then potentially become like physical strength. We won't feel as tired, and we'll have just more of a passion for life. So I hope you enjoyed this reading today. I think these cards are really sweet. They're certainly easy to read. I like the oracle cards. I think they're just nice and inspiring to read. A bit different to have a break from the tarot. And we all love little animals, and what they mean. It's just an interesting story to look at them all and see how they weave together and help us see what we need to work with Okay, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.